Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Check this one out, y'all. This was recorded on a trail camera in Canada. As you can see, the Sasquatch there is looking around, and he's about to grab a few limbs and actually move them around and demonstrate great strength. Check it out. Look at that. This is 100% real, you guys. A legit Sasquatch. Look how he just throws those branches around like it's nothing. Look at that. Holy. Just amazing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.
So I've actually covered this, I believe, on this channel before, but if I'm remembering correctly, it was much shorter than this. If I'm remembering correctly, the bit at the beginning that shows his face was not in the footage that I saw before, but it's by a long shot the most realistic footage I've seen that proposed to be a Bigfoot. I wouldn't be surprised if this were filmed for part of a movie or something, but it's certainly unbelievably realistic looking. Also, before we move on to the next clip, I'd just like to say my eyes are all healed up. I'm back to normal. I appreciate all of the well wishes and people, you know, asking me if I'm okay and everything. I also appreciate all the comments I got, people telling me that they liked the sunglasses. I kind of like the sunglasses, and I think I'm going to keep that look. I'm going to keep going with it. So if you see me wearing the sunglasses in future episodes, it's just because I like them. Simple as that.
If you live on planet Earth, this is going to be a very important video for you to understand. This is the volatility index. This gauges how risky the economy is and how much of a potential there is for collapse. It's up 122% in the last day and a half. It's above levels we haven't seen since COVID. Right here, this is 2020 when we found out COVID was happening and the economy was going to be just completely shut down. Now it just spiked to 52. This is a massive indicator. This tells the world that we are on the brink of a collapse and the global economies are crashing right now. Japan's stock market's down 12%. Europe's is down massively. The futures market for the United States is down massively. And we go even further with this. This is the chart going back about 20 years. If you look, this was COVID. This is where we are today. This was the 2008 financial collapse. This was the housing market crash. That one that everybody talks about how horrible, the worst ever. It wasn't even that which was COVID and was right now. That tells you the brink of what's about to happen. Do you remember COVID? This is right up there above the COVID, but below the financial collapse of 2008. This was the tech bubble. This indicated all of these major things. So buckle up. It's about to get a little wild here in the United States and across the globe.
This is certainly something we should all be worried about because as difficult as it is to just survive today, things are going to get much worse. However, we survived the 2008 bubble burst and we survived the COVID lockdowns and the entire economy was shut down. I think we'll make it through this. It's just not going to be much fun. I'm keeping my fingers crossed though that this corrects some of these overinflated prices like we're seeing on things like housing and used cars. It's going to be difficult to get through, but maybe when it's all over with, things will be much more affordable.
1962, Kennedy ordered the what became known as the report on Iron Mountain, and what he was interested in was finding out if there's anything other than war that could stimulate the economy to the extent war could. We've always had a war to stimulate the economy. Always had one. In recent years we had Vietnam and then Saddam Hussein, which was all manufactured. I mean, I flew an airline. For an airline, we used to take the troops, American troops in there, Green Berets, to train Saddam for the 2 or 3 years before that war, you know.
Well, they created the crisis.
They created the crisis. So the report from Iron Mountain said really that there was nothing that would stimulate the economy as well as war, and they had considered medical research, space research. They said that there was one thing that would stimulate it, and that was a threat from an extraterrestrial species real or imagined.
I wonder why they took out Kennedy. He wanted to stop the wars and use something else to boost the economy. They discover that war is the only answer except for an alien false flag attack. So they spend the next 50 plus years creating wars all over the world to keep the economy going, and then when the time comes, they start ramping up the alien talk to give their future false flag attacks some legitimacy. All the clues are there. I do think that there's some species or alternate beings on this planet that are in hiding from us, and I think they're either living underground, underwater, or in Antarctica. That's just my opinion. That's what I think currently based on everything I've seen and read. That being said, I don't think there's any evidence yet that these things mean us any harm. All we've seen from them so far is their crafts flying around and checking things out. If anything, I think they just want to maintain their secrecy and not expose themselves. When the attack happens, I don't think it'll be anything other than the government lying to us once again about what's actually taking place. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I post a new one just like it every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. It would be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back to join me tomorrow. Also, don't forget to check out the new episode of the podcast. The link is in the description.
So we've all known that we've had to have a license basically to do anything. They've made us get a license to drive a car, to operate a boat, to get married, to go fishing, to go hunting, to do all these things. Guess what? They're all illegal. Let me read you something about our Constitution. It says, no state shall convert a liberty into a license and charge a fee. Therefore, if a state converts the right of liberty into a privilege, the citizens can ignore the license and fee and engage in that right. Boom. No more license. You want to go hunting? Go hunting. You want to go fishing? Go fishing. You want to go boating? Go boating. Nobody can take these rights away from us. We allowed it, and now we don't have to allow it, you guys. This is part of our Constitution. This is a license of liberty. So, sorry, it's really hot out here. Take that for what it's worth. Learn it, live it, use it.
So I did some digging on this one to see if it's legit or not, and here's what I found. From the Supreme Court decision Thompson v. Smith, the right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon by horse-drawn carriage, wagon, or automobile is not a mere privilege which may be permitted or prohibited at will, but a common right which he has under his right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Under this constitutional guarantee, one may therefore, under normal conditions, travel at his inclination along the public highways or in public places, and while conducting himself in an orderly and decent manner, neither interfering with nor disturbing another's rights, he will be protected not only in his person but in his safe conduct. And this is the Supreme Court decision on Pennsylvania 319 U.S. 105. It says, and I quote, "No state shall convert a liberty into a license and charge a fee therefore." In Shuttleworth v. City of Birmingham, Alabama, 373 U.S. 262, it states, if the state converts a right, liberty, into a privilege, the citizen can ignore the license and fee and engage in the right or liberty with impunity. She's 100% correct. Do with this information what you will, but that lady does appear to be onto something.
The reporter who recorded that video, Kim Dong-chul, was arrested in North Korea after that thing went viral, and he was sentenced to 10 years of hard labor for espionage. And the girl in the video was allegedly found dead a few weeks afterwards, around October 20th, 2010. So Kim was the reporter who actually filmed that interaction on a hidden camera. Obviously, videos from inside North Korea are completely censored. There's almost nothing that shows us the reality of life inside the dictatorship. But this soot-covered woman told Kim that she was working in the fields trying to gather grass to feed rabbits. She also discussed with the reporter that she had lost her home recently and that she had also lost both of her parents and was living on the streets. She also went on to describe the horrific conditions inside of her home country. And this was shocking for the world to see because everybody knew that this is what was happening in North Korea, but I don't think up until this point people had visually seen what was happening. Somehow Kim managed to sneak the footage out of North Korea, but like I said, he was eventually arrested and sentenced to 10 years of hard labor, in part because of this video. And this was widely published across the internet. I'm actually going to play the rest of it for you now. It's really hard to watch stuff.
That was absolutely heartbreaking. It's wild to me that in 2024, and I know this video is old, but they still have these kinds of conditions over there. There's an estimated 26 million people living in North Korea, living under the most draconian law imaginable. A complete and total police state where giving thanks and appreciation to the leader is more important than feeding your own belly. If you haven't listened to it yet, you should go check out the Joe Rogan interview with Yeonmi Park, a lady who escaped from North Korea and goes into great detail about the conditions over there.
Okay, but wait, why are we not talking about people seemingly getting information from like nowhere, like thin air? Einstein, Edison, and Dali all got information from the hypnagogic state, which they utilized in their work. Recently learned that Billy Joel had dreams about the songs before he made them. This also reminds me of the experiment that was done with monkeys on one island specifically, where they were taught how to utilize something as a tool, and then monkeys completely across the world, unconnected, not ever taught, just started doing this. Like, they just knew how to do it. When I was in Mexico, I learned about the origins of the frog medicine Cambo. Essentially, there was a shaman in South America whose tribe was literally dying and they couldn't use their medicine to save them. So the shaman went into meditation, connecting, asking for an answer, and received instructions on how to utilize this frog as medicine. Reiki came about in a similar way. Recently, my therapist was saying she's noticed a pattern of kids who go through a lot of trauma in childhood just inherently knowing spiritual things, like how to meditate or protect their energy without actually knowing that's what they're doing. Like, is that not insane? I mean, I understand the concept of the collective consciousness. I believe in spiritual guidance and things like that, but like, oh my God, conceptualizing that though?
That's pretty wild to think of something like this being possible. I think this is just another example of us rediscovering a skill set that used to be common knowledge. I've heard countless interviews with singers talking about the ether gifting them a song, like they wrote it, but it came to them in a dream or was kind of gifted to them by the universe. The idea of collective consciousness being a thing is pretty apparent to me. There's just so much evidence showing it exists, and that's exactly why I'm trying to get better at meditating, because I want to tap into that thing and see what kind of benefits I can get from it.
CNN is about to be sued for more than $1 billion. The best part is CNN is almost certainly going to lose. I'll see this headline right here. I promise you, this headline does not do it justice. But it says CNN attacks man for saving women. CNN said he broke Sharia law under the Taliban. This story is wild. We all know that in the pull out of Afghanistan, we left a ton of people behind. Now, we didn't leave behind any actual American citizens. We left behind a ton of people that had aided us when we were there. People we had promised that we were going to get to safety. We just didn't. Well, a man named Zachary Young wasn't cool with that. So he created an organization whose only goal was to get women and children out of Afghanistan and out from under Taliban control. And he was really good at it. Problem was, nobody was financially supporting him. Nobody was financially backing what he was doing. So in turn, a lot of these people had to pay for him to be able to do this. CNN saw that, and not only did they try to vilify him, but they tried to make him sound like a human trafficker who was exploiting these people. They even accused him of sexual exploitation. The funny thing is, you normally couldn't sue for something like that, because the standard for being able to sue for defamation is like insanely high. Because the standard requires actual expressed malice. Normally, news companies are able to just say we were reporting on what we thought we knew, but not in this case, because Zach was able to actually get the internal communications from CNN. Alex Marquardt, the primary reporter, said in a message to a colleague that he wanted to nail this month, that the story would be Young's funeral. And when he said that, the editor responded, "Gonna hold you to that, cowboy." And Jake Tapper, when he ran the story on his show, The Lead, made a point to say that people were given no guarantee of safety or success. Hey, that's how all military operations work, homie. But even though they repeatedly said what he's doing was a scam, at no point could they prove that. They have multiple messages from the editors admitting that they couldn't find any evidence of it. And another thing they found in Discovery, Digital decided not to publish a digital version from Alex. They told me it was because they would not answer the question, is this a scam? They wanted to say it was a scam. They repeatedly said it was a scam, and then they admitted they couldn't prove that. They didn't care because they wanted to nail this Zachary Young. Believe it or not, it gets worse. So in their defense, CNN then switched it up saying that he wasn't violating international law or US law. No, they said he was violating Sharia law. CNN literally said the rescuing of women and children from under the Taliban control violated Sharia law. And that's why they were saying he was a criminal. They're actually claiming that they had a right to go after Zachary Young because he was violating Islamic religious law by rescuing women who were part of families that supported the United States and were very likely going to be captured, tortured, and probably. Zachary Young was violating the Taliban's Sharia law. And because he was violating Sharia law, CNN had a right to go after him. So an American news agency is attacking an American man for rescuing Afghani women and children because saving them from the captured, torturing they were going to be subjected to violated the Taliban Sharia law. These just got to host a presidential debate.
And I hope this is the final nail in the coffin for the government propaganda machine that is CNN.
MRIs that are now going viral on social media show that this filler actually never goes away. It just migrates, and in many cases, it expands. This information just hit TikTok, and the response has been wild. The video that started this conversation on TikTok was from a doctor who took one of these MRIs and decided to talk people through it.
So what you're looking at here is an MRI image of a 33-year-old patient who had over 12 cc, just 12 syringes of hyaluronic acid filler injected to her face over the past 6 years. We measured the amount of filler, the amount of volume that was there. It ended up being close to 28 cc.
She has 28 syringes of filler in her face because it never actually dissolves.
And what this shows us is that hyaluronic acid fillers are hydrophilic. That means they love water, and they also cause tissue expansion.
So for many women, like me, I had no idea that it actually never went away. Somebody commented and said, when it first came out, all injectors said that it would only last 6 months. And the guy responded and said, that's what the filler companies were telling us. That is what they were telling doctors. I mean, like, what is it with the medical industry that somehow is apparently just, exempt from all regulations, exempt from actually being honest about what they're putting into our bodies? And this video alone got over 9 million views, and it obviously sparked a huge conversation. This has now been popping up everywhere on the app. And slowly, women started to realize that this information actually had been out there. It just hadn't been communicated to them by their own doctors. Another big topic of conversation under this umbrella has been pillow face. And if you don't know what that is, think Chrissy Teigen as of recently, big puffed up cheeks, or Kylie Jenner at the Met Gala where everybody was saying that she looked like she was 40 years old. Their faces basically look like they've been blown up by a balloon. That is pillow face. And that is all because the filler has not dissolved. And a lot of people assume that it was just because they got too much filler and it was like fresh and it hadn't settled, but it's actually because they did get a lot at one point. It never dissolved, it migrated, it expanded, and then they got more to compensate for it migrating and expanding.
So we now have an explanation of the pillow face phenomenon, which is that filler does not just dissolve.
That's so, oh my God, it's so sad.
Metabolize over time. It in fact migrates or spreads to other areas of your face and continues to cause tissue expansion. And so the people who make a habit of getting filler regularly, this is kind of what you end up with.
Somebody commented and said, I lost 2 friends to filler. They didn't pass or anything. I just couldn't look at them any longer. Yeah, that's me with all the pillow face people. One commenter said, it clogs your lymphatics. Then the lymphatics can't drain fluid, so it stays and causes swelling, which causes pillow face. Just think about all of this gel sitting in your face where it should be draining fluid, not allowing anything through. Ugh.
That's absolutely disgusting, but she couldn't have chosen 2 better examples of people with pillow face who probably deserve it. Chrissy Teigen has some major explaining to do with her old Twitter posts, and Madonna is openly evil and satanic. I can't help but feel like they both deserved what they got. I'm not saying I wish that anyone would have to suffer through living the rest of their life with Pillsbury Doughboy face, but if it was going to happen to somebody, at least it happened to 2 people who deserve some bad karma. Be careful out there, ladies. Stay away from this stuff.
This is the path that the ISS takes. I have no idea what forces could be at play to cause that sort of a spiraling orbit unless the firmament is literally a giant kid's spirograph set.
You've never seen that pattern. Magnetic field lines, maybe? You ever heard of electrostatic levitation? Just by charging this PVC pipe with some wool, you can get enough electrostatic charge to cause a repulsive effect and cause things to levitate. Look at this. Now imagine instruments with some control. Isn't it funny that the electrostatic force seems to defy gravity, the bending and warping of space-time? It's the one thing that can counteract it. And depending on how things are charged, they can be repulsive or they can be attractive. Here's NASA in a zero-G plane doing tests with electrostatic orbital motion, causing two charged items to orbit. Now look at this. Charged bar causing this to do that. Now imagine a controlled environment where there are thrusters and things involved. Familiar, eh? And you know about the electricity in our atmosphere, that there's 100 volts per meter of electrostatic potential that can be harnessed. It's no secret, and they use this electrostatic force in electric propulsion. NASA has an electrostatic levitation laboratory. So don't you think they figured out this anti-gravity technology using the electrostatics in the atmosphere? Used to, flat earthers were like, oh, satellites don't exist, the ISS doesn't exist. But here's the thing, I believe it is up there because we can see it crossing the moon and the sun. But here's the deal, I don't believe it's 250 miles away and following the bending and warping of space-time, the curvature of space-time. No, I believe that the ISS has so many solar panels because it uses this solar propulsion, harnessing the electrostatics in the atmosphere and having orbital motion following these electromagnetic field lines. Those of you who waited till the end get something special. He's charging this rod with wool. I'm going to tell you something very interesting about wool. You know Deuteronomy 22:11 that says, you shall not wear fabric made of wool and linen blended together. They say it's pagan. Yeah, it's actually witchcraft because linen's frequency is 5,000. Wool is also at 5,000. But when you mix those two together, that cancels each other out to a frequency of 0. We're talking low energy, low vibration frequency. Totally explains why 100% wool t-shirts are a freaking $100. So those Bible verses that you thought were meaningless actually mean something. So as this deception is going on, they're also deceiving you in how important this field of energy is to our bodies. You know, they try to hide the fact that grounding is good for us as they make these shoes with rubber soles. They try to hide the fact that certain diets raise our frequency, vibration, and our energy field. I believe this created realm that we live in has a lot more secrets to uncover than we think.
I'm going to disagree with him here on one thing. I don't think the ISS is up there. I think it's possible that we have something that looks similar floating around to give the appearance that the ISS is in orbit, but whatever it is, I'm not convinced we have actual people on it. There's just too many examples of NASA faking astronauts in zero gravity with wires and harnesses. I just simply can't believe anything NASA says due to the sheer amount of times they've lied to us or given us clearly faked footage. I could very well be wrong, and I'm okay with that, but I question everything that comes out of NASA. In regards to the rest of this clip, I think he just touched on the propulsion systems in some of these crafts that the government is claiming to be of alien origin. I think this is pointing in the right direction to explain how some of these crafts caught on video seem to defy physics. They may be using this form of anti-gravity propulsion.
Why?
Is it just me? Where's my organic lettuce wrapped type of plastic? Do you see the plastic right there? I've never seen my edges of my lettuce look like that.
This one could have a simple explanation. This looks like it's covered in some sort of wax or plastic coating. Isn't that exactly what Bill Gates' new company Appeal is doing? Coating fruits and vegetables in a supposedly edible film to protect it against bugs and other pests and double its shelf life? That's what this looks like to me. I don't know how you get that off, but according to all the studies that they've done, they claim it's non-toxic and completely safe for human consumption. So if I were you, I wouldn't touch the stuff. You can choose to believe Appeal's in-house scientists if you want, but I'm reminded of the Pfizer clinical trials that we were lied to about, and my alarm bells are going off. I think I'll wait and see if anyone gets sick from this stuff before I willingly buy fruit with a plastic coating on it.
By now, you've probably seen this video that's going viral on TikTok. If you haven't, this is a must-watch. TikTok is probably going to take this down and my channel, but you know what? It's worth it. Just listen.
The problem there is that if you figure out a way to help patients heal, and that way doesn't include a pill or a surgery, well, then the hospital and the doctor are in big trouble.
There you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. Here's someone who dedicated years to a field of practice, made a ton of money, and decided to walk away from all of it. Watch the rest of that video. He tells you exactly why. This is why I get on here and advocate for herbal remedies and educating yourself so you know exactly what to take. Things like elderberry for cold and flu, oregano for immune support, and this plant right here if you have any sort of respiratory issues. If you've never heard of this is called mullein. If you have asthma, bronchitis, COPD, or any other type of respiratory issue, you should be taking this. Given how effective it is, more people should know about it, but we're starting to see why they don't. The sad truth is there's more money to be made with pills and procedures than using things you can find in your own backyard. If you are interested in mullein, here's what you can do. You can forage for this, you can harvest it, try it out, turn it into a tea, but if that's too much work for you, get it like this. All you need is 2 full droppers in 8 ounces of water and your lungs will have never been happier. I've linked this out in my bio. You can also find this on Amazon. Good luck.
I try to be really careful about coming across like I'm giving out medical advice. I don't need that kind of trouble if somebody gets sick from something they saw in one of my videos. That being said, it's obvious, I think, to pretty much everybody that the medical industry has one goal, and that goal ain't to improve the lives of their patients. That goal is to make money. And they make money by giving you pills you have to pay for every month and requiring you to make multiple repeat visits to see if your condition is improving. All the while, you're just being treated for your symptoms and the side effects of the illness instead of the actual illness itself. I think that the reason this man's video went so viral is because we're living in a time where it seems like there's no one who cares enough about anything to stand up and do the right thing. And then this man pops up out of nowhere throwing away a lucrative career that he spent his entire life training for, likely incurring a staggering amount of student debt because he can't sleep at night knowing how the medical industry is rigged against the very people they claim to be caring for. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out www.barry-stepp.com if you'd like to order yourself a shirt or a hat and help me support the channel. I greatly appreciate anyone who's done so far. Also, don't forget to post your photos of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. And one more thing before we close out. I was asked by a viewer yesterday to list out the equipment that I use for filming, so I'm going to do that really quick. I use a Neewer 18-inch 55-watt ring light, which is on Amazon. I use a Shure SM57 dynamic microphone, which can be bought new from anywhere for around $100 or less. I have that running into a Focusrite 2i2 2nd gen audio interface. The newer 3rd gen model can still be found on Amazon, but the 2nd gen is pretty hard to come by new anymore. And that's running into a 2023 Apple iMac with an M3 chip and 16 gigs of RAM. I'm filming on a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I record all of my audio into GarageBand and then export and edit everything in Final Cut Pro. I hope that answered your question sufficiently. Also, I'm not going to link to any of these products as I'm not into the affiliate marketing thing yet. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.